This meeting and the next one.
Thank you, Chicken, for making our lives convenient.
Thank you, chicken.
What's your next meeting? Oh, good thing.
I'm not following you wherever you're going.
I was concerned because it's helping me today, but
I have other places that are hostage.
yeah, that's one thing that's like
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular school board meeting for Monday, October 14th. We're going to call this meeting to order and start with roll call.
Dubay,
Here?
Reed, here, Crock, here, Leathers,
Here.
McAllister, here, Sorensen, Young,
Here. All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Motion by Kathy. Wait a minute, who did the second? Carol did the second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We're gonna start with a couple of tax abatement requests. The first is a request from Bigelow and Line Construction, presented by Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Todd Lechtenberg.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairperson Dubay, Dr. Page, Russell School Board. I'm here tonight to read through the tax abatement from Bigelow and Line Construction. Address is 1308 17th Street Northeast, Austin, Minnesota, and the value is $320,000. $320,000.
Is there a motion to approve the tax abatement request from Bigelow and Line Construction?
Others will make that motion.
All right.
second,
Motion by Leathers, second by Crock. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Our second abatement request is from Cedar City Builders LLC.
Yeah, so the second one is Cedar City Builders. The address is 13th Place Northeast in Austin, Minnesota, and the valuation is $400,000.
All right, is there a motion to approve the tax abatement request from Cedar City Builders?
So,
Motion by Kathy, second by Peggy. Any discussion?
I have a question about that. Most of the time, if I look at the first one, the signature was Lennon and Bigelow. And this one is a law firm in Austin. Can you explain that to me?
they must have a partnership that also builds homes on this.
It's a different builder.
Cedar City.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones applying for
I mean,
the.
I've never seen that before, I don't think. But, okay, thank you.
All right, further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We're going to jump into a couple of recognitions tonight. Our first is Chris Badness, presented by Steve Carter, Activities Director.
Good evening, Board Chair Green, Dr. Page, and members of the school board. I am here tonight to honor and recognize Chris Badness for his induction into the 2024 class of the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association. He will be inducted next weekend, is that correct? So just to read his bio so we can celebrate him a little bit, Chris Badness started his basketball coaching journey by serving 3 years as an assistant coach at Luther College, 4 years as an assistant coach at Hamlin University, and 1 year coaching in the Icelandic League in Njarðvík, Iceland. His high school basketball coaching career began at Caledonia in 1993, where he spent 4 years leading the Warriors to 4 conference championships, 3 section championships, and a 1997 Class 2A state title. In 1997, he moved to Austin, where he led the Packers program for the next 25 seasons, retiring after the 2021-22 season. Under Coach Badness's tutelage and leadership, the Packers earned 6 Big Nine conference titles and 7 Section 1 3A crowns, resulting in 3 state runner-up and 1 state third-place finish. Chris was recognized by his peers as Section Coach of the Year 8 times, 1997 Minnesota State Class 2A Coach of the Year, and 2014 Minnesota Class 3A Coach of the Year. Coach Badness is a member of the 500 Wins Club and finished his career with an overall mark of 504 wins, 266 losses. He served on the MVCA Executive Board as a section rep, 2007-2008 as the MVCA President, and coached in the MVCA All-Star Series. Chris, on behalf of everyone in Austin Public Schools, we congratulate you on this tremendous honor and thank you for your years of service to the young men you have impacted in your career.
Well, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And obviously, I feel very blessed. This has been a great home for our family, and you know, it takes a village. And I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for all the support I've gotten within the community, within the teaching profession here, the administrators I've had, ADs, everybody. So again, just very thankful. We've had some great players. I've had some great assistant coaches, and they're all a part of this. So, and last and foremost, I better thank my family. My wife's not here, but you know, we had 3 kids during that time, and a lot of those nights she was spent with the 3. So, thankful that my family allowed me to pursue my passions, and again, just grateful. I really don't know what more to say. I'm just so thankful for everybody and this community that's been so supportive. For years we had fundraise and get money and do all those types of things, and people showed out for us and gave for us. So again, thanks to the community, thanks to you, thanks to everybody. Yeah.
You flipped a lot of pancakes over the years, didn't you?
No, I basically walked around while other people were
No, I gotta say that the letter that you wrote that we read, the last thing you said is that you appreciated the support of your family, who allowed you to pursue your passion. That was awesome, Chris. And I looked at the Minnesota High School Basketball Coaches Association website, and I saw some names on there. Your mentor, Coach Vic, Carrie Lindbow, Gary Holmstead, Terry Canopi, Al Wold, Lenny Olson, all those individuals. Ovi Bourbon. So you really belong there, and that's an awesome group, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot. It is a great honor, so thank you.
You're gonna be taller than me. Are you ready? You ready? Tonight, we get to honor you, Kathy. 25 years of advocating for Austin Public School students. That means, if you do a little math, 25 graduations with roughly 350 students per class, that's 8,750 graduates that have been impacted by your work. Plus the 5,200 students that are currently active in the district, which brings your total to just shy of 14,000 students. That is quite a legacy to leave behind. Sharon and I dug into the archives to find some of your major moments. You have held every officer role on the board. And without checking thoroughly, I am certain that at some point in time, you have served on every single committee there is to serve on in this school district. You were impacting this district before you even joined the board by chairing the 1990 facility renovation project. Remember that? That was huge. You championed the idea of bringing students onto the board as members so we could hear their voices. This is why we get to listen to students like Anita and Michael. You were instrumental in major facility initiatives, including IJ Holton, implementing all-day kindergarten before it was a thing, renovations at Westcott, High Academy, this beautiful addition to the annex. You were involved in all of it. Your advocacy at the district, regional, state, and national levels has been significant, and your wisdom regarding legislative change and policy will be sorely missed. You may be consulting me. We hope that in the coming days, they are filled with travel and lazy days on the lake, soaking in time with Peter, and all your kids, and all your grandkids. I know they will covet your time and your energy, and we are so excited to send you off into this next season of your life. And let me be the first to thank you for your 25 years of service to Austin Public Schools. Thank you, Kathy.
Oh my gosh. I'm here because I'm a parent, first and foremost. That's what, started it off back in the 1980s. And it evolved into my running for school board, being elected in 2000. I was doing the math, and you did the math with the students. That's the number that counts. Approximately 296 board meetings. I know of a couple I missed, but it was minimal. So this is gonna be a big part of, this is where we get to hear the good stuff that's going on in the district. And thanks. First of all, I wanna thank our administrative assistants. And Kay Schultz preceded Sharon Holmes. And they're the glue that keeps this together. And I've said that before, and I truly mean it. And it's like, everything stays, every once in a while she'd get confused, but it was like, I think the 2 meetings I missed, I think I've known her being confused twice in all these years. So she's done awesome. I worked with wonderful school board members within our community, and they brought their talents. Some have only stayed one session, but they brought everything they had. They brought the game, and that was really great. It's been wonderful getting to know board members along the way, serving with them, working with them. I have so much admiration for the staff in this district, and here we see you guys are supervising them all, but everything from our custodians, our food service workers, our teachers, our paras, our specialists, we all put it together because each and every student that comes before us is an individual, and we need to really bolster and continue to bolster the individual spirit and creativity that we have and the students that come before us. And that's something that I charge the board and the staff with as you move forward. Keep that in mind, that they all come to us. Some of them more excited to learn than others, but they can find the motivation here to be success. So that's really great. Thank you for the superintendent, Joey, for being here with us, for taking a chance on us. There's been many superintendents. I think I did the math. I think I've worked with about 11 different superintendents over my tenure before being on the board. Kay Schultz she was wonderful in the beginning. I knew nothing, and she kind of maneuvered, explained to me what superintendents were, what they did, and that was really great. Other than that, once again, the students. That's why I've been here all these many years. That's why I will continue to watch and pay attention to what's going on in this district. This is truly a blessed, this is a district that has so much good going for it. And the legacy and the depth of history of this district is so incredible. And it will continue to evolve and be a place where kids can be successful. I thank you very much for everything all you guys have done. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my family. Thanks, Pete. And the 5 Austin High School grads, and now their entire family, and my kids now are parents of kids in school districts. And it's so fun to see them following in my footsteps. They're very involved. And so if I've done anything good, that's the legacy I leave. So I thank you very, very, very much.
All right. Are there any delegations? I don't see anybody. It would be a tough act to follow, just saying. I guess Dr. Page gets to follow you.
I think we should adjourn. I think it was a pretty good meeting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chair Debate, members of the board, good evening. My report for October, I want to highlight a few things. First of all, our distinguished alumni, Jason Baskin, the class of 2002, and the late Gertrude Ellis Skinner, the class of 1881, were the 2024 distinguished alumni members that were selected by the Austin High School Alumni and Friends Association. We had a wonderful program and week during homecoming, which you're going to hear a little bit about later. Also, that week we also selected Hall of Fame members for this year for the class of 24-25. And we inducted Paul Noterman, Zach Allwelling, Kristen Faber, Catherine Wagner-Peterson, and John Steffen, the coach. So we had an excellent program with them and honored them during our homecoming festivities. Keeping in the spirit of homecoming, we had our Nourishing Our Champions event that was in partnership with Hormel Foods, Hometown Food Security Project, and then United Way. This was if you had a chance to be out there and see this, or if you've seen any of the pictures or news coverage, it was a pretty exciting event. We had over 1,600 students and volunteers that packed 24,000 snack packs for our food pantry in support of students and helping our local community organizations. It was an incredible effort during Hunger Action Month. We were really excited for that. Recently, we just completed our elementary walkathon. Those elementaries had a goal of raising $60,000 and walking over 4,000 miles, and I will let you know that they surpassed both of those. So it was a very well supported event, and thank all of the contributions across the community. Since our last meeting, a couple things I just want to highlight. One, in September was a National IT Professionals Day, so I want to shout out to our incredible IT department for all the things that they do to keep us up and running. And October 2nd was National Custodian and Maintenance Workers Recognition Day. We know each and every day our students and our staff walk into buildings that are ready to serve, to learn in, and to do an excellent job of keeping our sites productive and safe. Recently, Austin Aspires is a longtime partner with Austin Public Schools, celebrated their 10th anniversary, and our partnership has been very important. Over the past decade, this collaboration has brought tremendous benefits to our students, from improving academic success and preparing them with future-ready skills. And together, Austin Aspires and Austin Public Schools have been focused on equity, innovation, and community engagement. And they had an event here recently. It was very nice to see former Superintendent Krenz had an opportunity to be acknowledged for his work, but also our Director, QBVN, and former Austin Aspires Executive Director, Jen Longhead. So thank you to both of them for their work across the years. This month also, we're going to be celebrating Dewey Shara. Dewey was selected as the Moore County Distinguished Citizens Award, and so we'll be honoring him later this month and congratulate him for receiving the Albert K. Fretwell Outstanding Educator Award. Also, this month, October, is National Principals Month. I'm very proud of the principals in our school district, the leadership as they guide the implementation of our strategic priorities. Their dedication makes a lasting impact on our schools and our community. Each March, Austin High School holds Women's History Assembly. We had to cancel last year as our one weather event. If you recall how nice the winter was, but we had one weather event. And it happened to be during this event. It was postponed, but last week, Justice Ann McKee, the Supreme Court Associate Justice, was here at Austin High School to visit with our students. It was a wonderful program, and hopefully we'll get to see more of her or the Supreme Court here in the Austin Public Schools, hopefully, return to visit. Also, now that we've got the year started, I'll be beginning my superintendent listening sessions in all of our buildings. This is, as we've shared over the years, these are informal meetings for myself, for staff to hear updates and have open conversations with me. Attendance is always optional for our staff, but it's been very important to get information from our staff and share back with the board and the administrators. We began a new meeting this month. This is the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. We had our first meeting. We have a couple members here on the table getting started here. This really is an opportunity for students' voices to be directly heard in district leadership discussions. They've had an opportunity, they will have an opportunity to work closely with me and other district leaders as we work to improve our schools and on matters of students' concerns. So I really appreciate all of the students that are participating. They're going to have an opportunity to discuss important topics, provide input, collaborate with their peers, and then also hopefully gain some valuable leadership, communication, and advocacy experiences. So we look forward to those meetings in coming months. And finally, I know Chair DeBay had an opportunity to talk about Kathy Green, and I just want to take a moment to express my sincere, deepest gratitude to you, Kathy. For your dedicated service to our school board. Your commitment has made a difference, and your leadership has helped guide our district to a strong, positive place. So I've gotten to take a couple phone calls in my life that were really important. One, my future wife saying yes, she would have dinner with me. And the other one that really comes to mind is getting a phone call from Chair Green to come serve in Austin Public Schools. And so really appreciate the opportunity to work closely with you and learn from you, Kathy, and thank you for your service. That's my report.
Either for a minute, I thought you were going to say you proposed your wife over the
Thank you, Mr. Madden. I'm sorry, I put him to the phone right now.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Are there any school board reports? Done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would like to echo what Joey said about Kathy. I mean, very distinguished career. I'm glad we got to highlight and celebrate your tenure, 24 years, 25 years on the board. It's truly amazing, and you've done a great job. I'd also just like to point out that in the last month or so, we've lost another school board member, that's Dick Lees. And Dick was a longtime teacher in the Austin Public Schools, a recognized coach. After he got done teaching, he became a guardian ad litem with the legal system in Model County. And Dick, funeral was last weekend, and a great turnout. A number of teachers were there. So Dick was a solid community member, a great teacher, and a good board member like you were, Kathy. Last meeting, I suggested that I wanted to go and visit all the kindergarten classes to see how the transition is going. 2 down, 2 to go. I went to Devlin last week, and the teachers are doing a great job. You know, it's chaotic at the beginning of the year, they tell me, and then things get better, and right now things are going really well. But I would like to say that I purposely gone about 11:45 in the morning, where I can go to lunch and see the other side of these students. And the thing that I've gone away from that experience is these lunch staff at the elementary schools are lights out. They are kind, they are compassionate, they have a long fuse. The kids are having fun in the lunchroom, and they just have a smile on their face. They help them get their food, they help them clean off their tray, they're polite, they sit down and talk with the students. It's really an awesome situation, so if Dr. Page ever goes and scoops up goulash and he asks for some help, I would recommend that you sign up because it's good duty, real good duty. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Anybody else? Kathy?
I have joined other board members and Dr. Page in touring the 4 elementary schools this fall since school started. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of, the principals are all big cheerleaders for their schools. It's good to see. We've seen a lot of physical rehabilitation done within the buildings this summer, and so that's nice to see. There's still spaces that are being renovated. But overall, the kids were the highlight. We had a couple new jungle gyms that the kids were out playing on, and the weather's been beautiful, so that's been good. Just to look, moving forward, I think that we need to let the schools have personality, and with that, both visual, verbal, the kids themselves, and so they've got it there now, and I just hope that we encourage that into the future. So enjoy the tours.
Carol?
First of all, I want to thank Kathy too, being my first term on the board. She's been a tremendous mentor to me, so thank you very much for everything. I've gotten the honor of doing only one elementary tour, but that was at Sumner, and I tell you, I got so many hugs from those kids. It was, if I am ever in a depressed mood, I'm going there to get my fill of hugs because it was just amazing. And I want to thank everyone who did an outstanding job with the homecoming events. I have the blessing of helping with the food packing event. I was just in awe. I could not believe how smoothly that went. It was just a wonderful experience. The parade was wonderful, the football game was wonderful. These are just some things I got to partake in. And I got to go to the dance. And I tell you, that was, the kids were just, everything, Emily, you did such a wonderful job. She had it totally, it was just, everything fell in line. It was, everybody who helped out, it was just fantastic. The kids were wonderful. It was just a really beautiful night also, so we were extremely blessed. But thank you to everyone who had anything to do with the homecoming.
Thanks, Carol. Anybody else? Peggy? Other button?
Yeah. Is it on now? I can speak loudly. I don't know if you recall when I was considering running, Kathy, you met me for lunch, and I asked about 1 million questions, and you had answers for every single one of them, including, what are some of the pitfalls? And you gave me answers, and you were right about every single one of those. But said, do it anyway. And I'm so glad that you encouraged me to run. And I've learned so much from you in the time that we've been together on the board. And I'm very excited for what you have to come. A little bit jealous, but more excited. So congratulations, and thank you for everything. And way to go
go on to teepeeing, you guys. That was like stellar work. You know what you're doing. Not you two, but like overall, this year's high schoolers did a great job with the teepeeing, like all over town. I was wildly impressed. I was with a group of folks from all around the state I was not in town during the food packing event. And as the pictures became available online on social media, I was sharing the pictures, and over again, I got, how are they, how is this happening? What are they doing? We could never, and I kept doing it, we could never. I'm like, no, we couldn't. Only in Austin can we. And I was so proud of the work that was happening there, because I kept hearing, we could never. You did great work. Good job. That's all I got.
Anybody else?
Just thank you, Kathy. You were telling her the pitfalls, and I didn't know if I wanted to run because you have set the bar so high. I was a little nervous. But you have really been, you set the bar high, you lead by example, you dug in every aspect of this role, and I appreciate it. And our community is very blessed to have you be a part of this board and leading our district. Thank you.
I echo everything you guys said. Since everyone's saying something. Thank you. I've been so impressed with just the knowledge, the overall global knowledge of how the system works, not only on our level, but the state level, even the national level. So, I've either been asking questions or confused about something, you've been really a good source of information just to kind of give you some guidance. So, thank you very much. You'll be missed. I guess I don't want to be here either, but you'll be missed.
All right. We're gonna keep moving forward with our student representative reports with Anita Rao and Michael Gary. It's like Michael's up first.
Superintendent Page, Chairperson Dubay, and members of the school board. My name is Michael Gary, and today I'll have the first half of the school report. First, I want to recap our homecoming event, which was very successful this year, with 760 attendees at the dance. That's a school record. It was wonderful to see so many students come together, celebrate school spirit, and enjoy the dance. The changes with homecoming were also well received with positive feedback. In addition to the dance, we hosted a food packing event that showcased our commitment to service. Students worked hard to pack meals for those in need. This showed teamwork and commitment to our community. It was inspiring to see our students come together and make a positive impact. This is truly the most engaged I've ever seen all of the students, and it was amazing to see. I would challenge us to enhance that engagement and see in what other areas we can find that. I also want to recognize our Rotary Students of the Month, Allie Music and Alani Therapy. Their dedication to leadership is not something we should forget about. I would like to also thank them for their homecoming efforts. Allie and Alani are the president and vice president of Student Council. Next, I'd like to mention the new digital ticket system working well and helped us manage attendance numbers for homecoming. This made the homecoming dance checking experience much better. It also allowed us to use efficient tracking of attendance and make the overall experience better. Lastly, I would like to talk about the new school link system. This is a website that helps you prepare for your future, get connected, and show you opportunities. It also helps you manage your college test scores, goals, and pick a college that is well fit for you. Thank you for your attention to these important updates. It's been an exciting time filled with school spirit, community engagement, and recognition for our outstanding students. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for him?
Like you did mention, how involved everybody was with the event, having snack packing. I mean, you find that they were more involved, and sometimes you have a connect situation. Some kids might be on the sidelines, and that's understandable. It sounded to me like talking to people that just about everybody was on board. Does that sound right?
Yes, I would say every student I saw was packing food and engaged in that event.
That's awesome. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Our next student representative is Nina Rao.
Superintendent Page, Chairperson Dubay, and members of the board, my name is Anita Rao, and I am your 12th grade representative for this year. And I will be presenting to you the second half of the student report. Lots has been happening this fall, and the student body has been busy as ever. Just last week, the women's history guest speaker, Justice McKee, came to speak with the high school students. This event was supposed to take place last March, but was rescheduled due to weather. McKee went above and beyond during her time at AHS and not only stayed for the assembly, but also met with the Packer profile classes to talk further about her journey. Besides talking with one of the Minnesota justices, the Packer profile has also met with countless individuals around Austin, learning about different career paths and different job opportunities right here in the community of Austin. Moving on, fall sports are beginning to wrap up with football, volleyball, soccer, cross country, cheerleading, girls tennis having their last home meets and entering the champion season. The girls swim dive team competed at True Team this past Saturday and made the podium, bringing home a plaque for the trophy case, as well as our diver Elena Kennedy breaking the 6 dive, 11 dive, and pool dive record, replacing the previous record from 1986. Overall, it has been a successful sports season with an energetic student section and lots of supporting fans. We can't wait to see how the Austin Packer teams compete in Big 9 sections and state as their seasons come to an end. Some exciting news regarding new sports at Austin's is boys volleyball has officially been recognized as a school sport instead of a club sport. And they will have their first season starting in the spring. There's many active participants in the past couple years as the club, so it's exciting to see this new change within our activity system. Lastly, there has been many opportunities this past month for students to explore more about their future. One being the college fair that happened last Thursday, where students were able to meet with representatives from a bunch of colleges as well as armed service recruiters. The school also arranged a direct admissions letter opening ceremony for this year's senior class. Students were able to see what colleges they had been accepted to and celebrate the hard work they had put in during their time at AHS. Direct admissions helps open students' eyes to see the possibility of college and how their future can fold out. The Teachers Club also attended a professional development conference called GeoFest on October 5th. The students interested in a teaching career learned about African American studies, Ethiopian poetry, and how it fits in with the United Nations goals. They also had the opportunity to tour the university's map library and the West Bank neighborhood. As you can see, AHS has been working hard to increase the opportunities available to students, and it's paying off. October has been a great month so far with growing and learning. Thanks so much for your time, and this concludes the second half of the student report. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I'm just gonna join you up here for a minute. Michael, can you come up too?
I didn't realize I get to do this again. We would like to recognize our two student board representatives with a certificate of recognition for serving as our representatives during the 24-25 school years.
Thank you.
Just a comment that you two are doing fantastic. Your speaking skills are wonderful, and your leadership in the high school is more than evident. And you're going to be going great places. And keep the Austin High School spirit with you as you go.
All right, thank you for those reports. We're gonna jump into our consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve, or make a motion, yeah? Motion to approve. Motion by Peggy, second by Kathy. Kathy, you pretty much have to do something on every single one tonight. That's a given.
Keep Mrs. Alms busy.
All right. Any discussion? Yeah.
I just have a couple questions on some of the cabinet reports. Here I am. In your report, you had commented about, the request for proposals for the additional partnerships for the school-based mental health services, and they were due on the 11th. How many did you get?
We did end up getting one proposal, and we're in the process of reviewing that this week.
Okay, good, awesome. And then, let's see, Amy's not here, is she? I just had a question on Amy's report. It said that 97 devices were never returned by the students who unenrolled. And then, so they've been given to the administrators to work on recovery through grade, and they're in grades 5 through 12. I was just wondering, 97, that seems like a lot. How many, like, did we have who unenrolled, like, total?
Well, we have several hundred devices that we do hand out, so one of the things that the tech department has been working on is reducing the amount of loss that we have, so this is the goal that the department has. One of the things, I don't have the specific numbers that I can send them, I don't have them off the top of my head, but it is one of the things that we're working on is to have a better system in place for device recovery, because it is very expensive for us to replace these devices. But we also want to make sure that we're working through the right communication channels to get them. So I know our administrative team continues to try to reach out and find our students. We always don't know where they end up. So
I think that'd be very difficult
we do
to.
have the ability to make them inactive. To do that, but some of them we'll continue to work on.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
My school board knowledge is not as far reaching as yours is Kathy, is the Minnesota State High School League Amendment update and forming in the, they put in the consent agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would just like to ask, I believe that if I'm not mistaken, the update has to do with ninth grade being included into the definition of high school. And in the October 4th board report, there was a comment under NSHSL that we did vote in favor of changes previously communicated. Did that have to do with the ninth grade?
Yes, that was, the ballot for that was for the two constitutional amendment changes. Not on the consent agenda tonight, that's something completely different. So we did.
Was this ninth grade update part of that vote we had?
Yes, that was what the vote was for.
I mean, I like to consider myself somewhat erudite, but I don't remember.
So.
I mean, I don't remember specifically that, because that's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Very big deal.
It's a big
Yeah.
deal.
So our school board representative is Evan, so we took part in a Teams Zoom meeting with the Minnesota State High School League to review the amendments, and then as a voting member, we casted the vote in the affirmative to approve that. We won't know the results of that until the 18th.
I mean, so there were several other amendments that you voted on, is that correct?
There was two.
I mean, was the board ever, were we ever explicitly told about the ninth grade inclusion in high school? That's a significant change, right, Katie?
The what?
That including ninth grade, usually 10 through 12, now it's ninth, that's a significant shift in Minnesota State High School policy.
Right, so they'll now be covered under their insurance and liability for catastrophic. So yeah, that is huge.
Yeah, and that's in my opinion, as someone with a background in the board, that I was a high school board, I believe is important, but I really don't remember seeing this. Am I missing? Do you? Does anybody recall? I don't know if I recall voting on that.
You did vote on
Oh.
Evans
Evan voted.
as the.
So when it says we did vote in favor of changing, when you say we, it was the two of you.
The school district,
Okay.
yes.
That
Okay,
was
so-
at the state level.
Yeah.
So I passed the sanity check.
Okay.
Thank you.
There wasn't a long negative to.
No, but I thought we voted on it and you here, you like.
I think it's more the royal we, not the royal we, not we as a board.
You don't consider yourself
I'm
right?
not really.
Okay.
On behalf of
The
Austin.
confusion's in the protocol, in my opinion, right?
I would bet my pension that it's gonna pass, so.
All right, any other discussion about the consent agenda? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, our next agenda item is a homecoming recap with AHS Student Council Advisor Emily Hovland.
Was that you? Thought I got it. We're chair today, Dr. Page and members of the board.
Hang on, turn on the microphone. Thanks.
Board chair today, Dr. Page and members of the board. I'm Emily Hovland, I'm the student council advisor for Austin High School, and I'm here to give you a recap on our homecoming week. On the slide in front of you, you can see that we had 1,600 students participate in this week at Austin High School, from Austin High School, Austin Area Learning Center, and from our Austin Online program. We had our school service project. We also had over 150 volunteers from our community who came in and supported. We had over 125 hours volunteered by student council. 900 plus food and personal care items were donated to our Packer Pantry in addition to the food packing event, as well as lots of Battle and Connect points tallied, and then of course our student attendance at the dance. So the first slide you see here is on our food packing event. So as was mentioned by a few, 24,000 snack packs were packed in 22 minutes by our students, which was pretty amazing. All throughout the month of planning, month and a half of planning that Katie Carter and I sat on with a very large committee from Hormel United Way and the Hometown Food Security Project. They continuously said, well, it's gonna take an hour and we're gonna need the whole hour. And I kept telling them, I don't think they're gonna need the whole hour. So I made lots of backup plans for what they could do if there were additional minutes, because if I know one thing about our students, competition can be intense for them, and they get really excited about that. So, needless to say, 22 minutes later, they couldn't believe that our students were done. And not only were they done, but then we asked them to help take down the tables and clean up, and the volunteers were scheduled to be there until noon to help tear down and get it all ready to go. And the entire front lawn was cleared by about 10:50 a.m., I think. So, it was really exciting to have them out there. You can see those aerial pictures from above were pretty awesome. We also had so many volunteers from our community come out, with 150 volunteers. We had people from the district office come and work with us that we don't always get to see during Battle Connects. We had a huge group of alumni that are currently working at Hormel who maybe don't even have children within the district yet. And it was just really really uplifting to see all of that support from our community in addition to what our students did. Those food packs are helping our school with their classrooms and in our pantry, but additionally they are out in the community helping with different groups as well. So it didn't just impact our school, but it impacted the entire community. So this was something that we heard was really engaging. Our students, if you can imagine, I get a lot of feedback during homecoming week, and sometimes that's really enjoyable. And they came, but teachers were coming and saying like, this is the best thing we've ever done. And I know in my 17 years of being in Osceola Public Schools, standing out and looking at that lawn that morning, I was like, this is the best thing that we've seen happen with our students. And like Michael mentioned, nobody was standing back. Somebody came to me and they said, even kids who like really don't like doing things were doing it. So it was really just super engaging. We also had record-breaking numbers at our dance. Carol was so kind to come in chaperone with us, which she said she got to, which I was like, that's amazing, she just never got to. Last year we had just a little over 500 students in attendance, so jumping to 761 this year. It was pretty awesome to see that rise in numbers. We had our food trucks out that we can get to come in, which was exciting still to have that available. We're always looking at expanding that. Yard games, we expanded a couple more of those this year, but that's a really engaging part as well, because some students just don't prefer to spend their time dancing. And that area will continue to bring in more and more games each year. Next year, we've talked about possibly having a movie or something else going on. We really are trying to turn it into an event that's open to anyone, not just people who enjoy the dancing portion. So our Battle Connects, there are some different things going on this year with Battle Connects, which we've already kind of talked about at the school board meeting in previous months, but this kind of kicked off our points for the year. You can see there's one of our doors. I believe that might be Anita's homeroom, so she's probably pretty excited about that. Her homeroom was the winner for the seniors. I believe Michael's homeroom was the winner for the juniors. That was not that wasn't rigged. So there's a winner for each grade level. Those students are going to be getting a cookie party. So they're the big cookies that are really amazing and exciting. We also had a kickball event, and that picture that's up there was taken by Ryan Ayers. I think that is it was just an awesome picture to see of our students parading down from the high school. I know there were some questions of like, are we going to do this? Is it going to be chaotic? But our kids did an awesome job walking down the field and got an event down there. And then the food packing. So all of that came to Battle Connect points. However, we're still going to be having different events. One will be coming up on October 23rd. Those will happen 4 times throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, we will also have our large Battle Connects where we'll have all of our traditional games that our students really enjoy seeing. So they're going to get to see that coming back. It was funny because I saw some boys at the football game and they were like, juniors didn't win. That's not fair. How do we get more points? I said, remember, you have more times. And they were like, oh, it's not over. So that's kind of an exciting part. The kickball event on Friday afternoon, we are also looking at next year hopefully adding some more events down at the field so that there'll be different games for people to play, and even hopefully getting some additional kickball games going just to kind of up that for our student body as well. Our student council, the number of hours volunteered, you can see there that morning of the food packing, our students arrived at 7 a.m. and they were getting slivers and, doing all the things, but they got those tables set up by 8 a.m. Some of our lucky students walking into the building in the morning from their buses got called in by me to start helping throw tables up. Our hometown food security team came in and helped blow up balloons and do all kinds of things throughout the week. Allie Music and Alani Fibrong are in that bottom picture, and the number of hours that the 3 of us spent together that week and in preparation for it, those two are amazing at what they're trying to do for their student bodies. So student council put a lot into that week, and they're pretty amazing. And then the last slide is just some of our feedback. So we did send out a survey to our student body and our staff just about what kinds of things went well, what they'd like to see. Some of the events of the past that are maybe adjusted. Some people miss those, of course, and that change can be challenging, but we also see the growth of what it can do and what it's done over the last couple of years. Our dance outside is a super huge hit, and if you remember, that happened because of COVID, and there was some pushback for that to continue to stay outside, but now that's what we do, and it's fun. Lots of positives on the food packing. People wanting to see some different activities at Friday afternoon, so we're going to try and up that next year. That's something that we're looking to tackle. Many staff and students commented on appreciating the more normal start to the week. I know there are kids, of course, who are like, I like having things all week long, but some people having those consistent days at the beginning is helpful. We got lots of great suggestions for next year,
And, as always, I continue to remind people, I reminded Michael this the other day, and he was like, oh, okay. Student council works hard at what they do, but we also encourage people to continue to join us. We have an open council, and it's one way for ideas just to keep growing and, for us to keep getting better at what we do. Because it's student driven, and we really are just trying to meet the needs of as many of our students as possible. Are there any questions on homecoming?
What's your backup plan if it rains or it's really
It
cold?
doesn't. Silly question. You know, there was a backup plan. I had to have a backup plan, like the food packing. I think I was probably praying and not sleeping for quite a while prior to that. But there was a backup plan for the gyms for that. As far as like the kickball event and things like that, we were gonna move it back to the high school and do some things in the gym. The dance, we have yet to be rained out. It won't happen. It's, it just won't happen because as much fun as it is being at a high school dance, Carol loves it. It doesn't, one year it sprinkled a little. The kids get very warm at the dance, so they actually are, they're like, oh, that's kind of nice, refreshing. So it so far hasn't. Last year we did bring out some heaters, because it was a little bit chillier, but in general, it just doesn't rain happen. Can't do that.
Mother Nature doesn't mess with us.
No. Don't got that. We just know it doesn't.
Mrs. Sullivan, I would like to just make the comment that it was so great to see so many options for activities during the day for our students. Evening activities are wonderful, but not everybody has the ability to
Absolutely.
motorize themselves somewhere in the evening. I love that. I was out of town homecoming week and watching the social media feeds with all of the pictures and almost in tears because it was just such a beautiful sight. It's great to see that pride in their classes that you guys have. I'm looking at you two right now, Anita and Michael. I'm just totally looking at you guys. It was really fun that your energy and your school spirit just like jumped off my phone. It was incredible. I was very impressed and excited for what kind of memories that's going to create for you guys. So, way to go.
Yeah, Stacy, you mentioned the high bar that Kathy presented to you. Check out that girl at the podium right there. That's a high bar. Energy and the passion you bring to Hodge Public Schools, awesome. You get a lot of help from these kids on that shot.
What did you say?
You get a lot of help from these young people.
We do. That's my favorite part of my job is kids. They're awesome.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next agenda item is our donations, presented by Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Todd Lechtenberg.
Good evening, Chairperson Dubay, Dr. Page, and the rest of the board. It is my honor to be in front of you to talk through the donations. We have received donations tonight from private individuals, public entities, and trusts, and these do meet our board policy of 706. So it is our recommendation to approve these. So the first one is Hormel Foods Corporate Charitable Trust for $2,300, Nevlin Elementary. Mayo Clinic Health System Community Contributors Program, $2,000, AHS Athletics, Austin Area Arts, $150, Austin Drama Club, Fraternal Order of Eagles, $2,500, Ellis Band, Howard and Janet Stride, there we go, $865, Austin High School Athletics, Casey General Stores Cash for Classrooms, $5.80, Devlin Elementary, Dollar General Literacy Foundation, $2,500, I.J. Holton, American Legion Post 91, $1,500, AHS Clay Target Team, Freeburg Mauer Operation Roundup, $500, Banfield Elementary, Southwest West Central Service Cooperative, $475, Banfield Elementary, and Austin Noon Kiwanis. That is the one I was messing up, Kiwanis. $100 Banfield Elementary. So it is my honor to ask for you guys to approve these tonight as donations for our district.
Can I get a motion to approve tonight's donations? Motion by Kathy, second by Carol. Any conversation? You can always say, it just overwhelms how generous our community is. So, thank you to all of them. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? No, motion passes. Next, we have an enrollment update with our Director of Information Services, Corey Hogan.
Chair Bay, Superintendent Page, and members of the board, it's a privilege and honor to be before you this evening to share some current information about our enrollment, student demographics, and the impacts of attendance. As I begin this evening, it's our mission to inspire, empower, and accelerate. And our vision is preparing all learners to make a difference in the world. And I hope that this evening I provide you an accurate picture of who our learners are that we're preparing for the world. Our core values, responsible, resilient, learner, communicator, and contributor, are all attributes that we want all of our students and our staff. And we use these drivers of our words and actions to prepare all learners for the world in our work. And additionally, this evening we'll have touch points on each one of our strategic priorities. This evening, I'd like to mention in terms of our desired daily experience, I always like to highlight one that I'm going to kind of touch point on, but students can do it. Every single one of these is so critical to what we're going to talk about tonight with our enrollment and our demographics. But students want to feel supported and challenged in their learning. They want to feel safe at school. They want to be engaged in their school community. And you've heard great examples of that throughout the entire evening tonight. And that's what we're going to look at tonight is who are our students, that they're feeling safe and welcome in our environment. Our families, they want to feel part of their child's education and valued and respected as a family. And so really what I'm going to dive into is who are our families tonight, so you get a good grasp and understanding of who those families are. And then our staff want to work in a district that is willing to adapt and change to meet the needs of students. And that's one of the things that is constantly evolving, and you'll see slide after slide demographic shifts in our community. So we're constantly changing. And it's great to see that our staff is willing to and wants to adapt to meet the needs of those students. So again, our core values tonight, responsible, resilient, learner, communicator, and contributor. We're going to walk through a bunch of different elements through the presentation tonight. I hope that you certainly learn a number of different components to this because we have 3 primary learning objectives tonight. One, I'm going to give you an enrollment summary as of today. And back to one of Carol's comments earlier, with the device management and asset controls that we have in place, wow, there's a lot of people that unenrolled. That's daily. When I ran the numbers this morning for the presentation tonight, there were 2 different, it was +2 by the time I looked again this afternoon. So I mean, we are constantly in the enrollment office having kids coming and going. And what you're going to see here is that lately, especially as of this year into this fall, many more inbound than outbound during that time frame. So we'll look at who we are as a district, and then the last component, impacts of attendance. So this is our Friday report from last week on October 11th, which is Friday. I'm going to draw your attention to the lower right corner where it says 5,417 students. We've been waiting for a number of years to plateau or peak over that 5,400 level, and we're there. And then again, that includes all of our students and all programming, all the way from our littlest at our Woodson Education Center and Community Learning Center programs, all the way up to our seniors that we have there. So it's over 5,017 students. A lot of squiggly lines on this screen, but what I really want to draw your attention to is up in the upper corner here is the 24-25 line. And you can see what started out this year. And this is typical in most years. We start out the first week, and then we have more students. Once families see the buses running around, they're like, oh, I guess school's starting. We're gonna get there. So we see an uptick, but you can see that number has continually risen over the start of this school year already. And even last year, when you look at this red line, which is in here in one of the squiggles, you'll notice something happened here at about the turn of the semester, which is not a typical phenomenon for us as a district. We continue to see a rise in our enrollment throughout the second semester last year, which typically we see decay from start of year to end of year, which is why most of these lines have a slight downward trend from left to right as you look at them.
But again, this goes back to 2007 all the way through 24-25, our highest number there when we're looking at enrollments. When we look just specifically, I'm going to take a look at the last 3 years. These are corresponding Fridays. The furthest to the right is as of Friday this last week with 5,115 students in our K-12 population. If we include our littles in our pre-K program, we're over 5,400. This is just the K-12 programming. When we compare that to that exact same day a year ago, we're up 177 students from last year. And if we go back 2 years, that's another 26 students there. Combine those together, we're over 200 students larger than we were 2 years ago on that same Friday in October. Okay, so we've seen pretty significant growth in our student population over the last year. So one of the things that's really nice, and that kindergarten population is running at 397. It's just short of that class of 400, which would be one of the first classes of 400 since the current 9th grade class. They were over 400 at one point in September, but we're now just under 400 in that particular class. When we look at our first graders, you can see that class is growing in sheer size. It went from 357 last year in kindergarten to a 374 this year, so they're up plus 17. Our second graders, when we look at over the last 3 years, they started out as a kindergarten class of 340 and they're up plus 18. Our third grade class from 2 years ago is up 21 overall. Our fourth grade class is up 14 from 356 to 370. And this is the one that kind of surprised me because typically we see a little bit of an uptick in 5th grade, some from our private sector where they come over to us in I.J. Holton for their first year in 5th grade. But this is actually, we're seeing that class has been pretty steady, 396, 396, 391, so they're actually down 5 from the last year. And same thing with our 6th grade class. 2 years ago they were at 330, now they're at 324, 322 this year, so they're minus 8. So IJ is the only grade bands that we see the red showing up here. Everything else is going to be positive. 7th grade is up 17 over the last 2 years. 8th grade is up over 9 kids. We're at 9 kids for the last 3 years. 9th grade plus 25. 10th grade plus 31. 11th grade plus 21. And 12th grade is up quite a bit. And some of that is continuing seniors that have returned back with us. But overall, when you take all of those grade bands, on average, we're plus 18 for each grade band as we're looking at our overall enrollment this year for increases. So some pretty significant gains in terms of the overall student populations. So the next few slides, I'd like to pause for a second, disclaimer. I'm going to share a bunch of information with you that is, as of literally today, data, but it's not certified data until we get it back from the state, which even though October 1 is that magical date in education where that's where we anchor all of our student data on, it takes the state from October 1 until March to actually send it back to us and say that this is your official numbers for the year. Because they have to reconcile enrollments from every single district and location in the state. So the graphics that you're going to see are certified as of last year. I'll show you what the bars would be if I were to include them today. So this is an enrollment history. When we look back over the last 20 years, you can see we had a declining state. Going back even into the 90s, we had declining enrollment all the way up until about that 2003-04 year when we started to see that turn around. We opened up that all-day K opportunity in our region. Having that all-day K did help garner some additional students in our area, but that wasn't the whole purpose or whole reasoning for all these students here. But that, oops, hit the button here first. That continued to rise all the way up until 1920, where we hit that 5103 mark. And these numbers that you'll notice up here, the little asterisks at the top, this does not include our littles, those pre-K students. This is just the K-12 population at 5103. And then we had a pretty serious event in the world, the global pandemic. And we saw our enrollment really decline into that next year. And so in 2021, pretty significant decline there in terms of overall student numbers. Some students, we had kindergartners that held out for a year. We had families take homeschool opportunities. We had families take online programming options. So we've seen that slowly recovering. But now this year, significant increase. So this was 5103. If I put a new bar on here for 24-25, which isn't officially certified yet, but as of today it'd be 5110, it would be the highest bar on this graph. So it's our highest enrollment in the last 25 years, and 20 on this graphic. but we'd have to literally go back into the pre-80s to get numbers, even back into the 70s potentially before the Shaw was closed, to see numbers that are at these current levels of where we're at in terms of enrollment. So overall, we're up 181 students just in the K-12 population. Looking at who we are as a district, our student population, when we take a look at our percentage of non-white students, almost 59%, 58.6% of our students are students of color. Statewide, that runs at 38.6%, so it's a 20% greater diversity rate in terms of diverse ethnicities. Today, that number is at 61.5%, so now we've actually crested over the 60% threshold. When we look at the next number on screen, free and reduced lunch population, 64.4% of our students last year received free and reduced lunch. You'll see a trend on this in a little bit, but statewide, 42.4% of the students receive free and reduced lunch, so that's a differential of 22% between Austin Public Schools and the rest of the state. Today, our number is at 56.9%. Okay? And I'll mention a little bit more about free and reduced lunch when we get there. Special education, 20.1% was the official number last year. Statewide, that runs just under 19%, so it's only about a 1% differential. That's the one that was pretty consistent throughout the state. We have a slightly 1% higher, just because we're one of the larger districts in the county, and so we're able to support some of those additional numbers. That number would be a little bit slightly higher if we included the co-op kids. So the students in Austin Albert Lea Special Education Cooperative are not included in our percentage here, even though we support programming and those students out of that location. And then the last one on here, which I think is just phenomenal for a district our size and located in outstate Minnesota, almost 38% of our students speak a primary language other than English. Statewide, that only runs at under 18%. So again, over a 20% differential between language diversity and us and the rest of the state. And so that number today is at 39.8%. Yes, ma'am.
For that, does that mean that they speak only a language other than English?
No, these are dual, some of them, yes, but these are, a lot of them are dual asset students. So of that, today, we're at 39.8%. Today, about 24.9% of our students require EL services. So there is about 15% of that population. Those are students that are speaking English probably better than I do in their daily academic pursuits. So,
Nice question.
Yeah.
Nice question, two questions. One about the certification by the state. Historically, if you send in numbers in October 1st, and you get them back in March, are they pretty close?
Yeah,
The certification?
yeah, these numbers that I'm sharing with you, I would say they'll probably be within 1/10% or 0.2% of what reality will be when we get them back.
Sure.
It does, yeah.
Now,
I just don't put them in print because sometimes then I'll have Eric or somebody take a picture and until they're certified, I don't want them being published as official numbers.
He's gone.
the upper right-hand circle, it says percentage of students receiving. Am I right or wrong? Do all Minnesota students receive, so is this qualify for it?
Correct,
Is that
so
what it
these are students that have qualified for it last year, and that number is actually down this year to just under 57%. Yeah, and I'll show you some of those trends and speak to that specifically in just a moment. Yep,
Okay,
take
thanks.
that question, you bet. This is the ethnicity trend, so when we talk about students coming from a diverse background. When I started the district in 1997, going way back here, that would have put us at under 8% students of background, students of color. But you can see that's continually ran up at about a pretty linear rate of about 2% per year. 18-19 was the year that we crested that minority majority year, where we had more students of color than white students. And now we're over that 60% threshold as of today, 61.5 if I were to put the bar on here for 24-25 today. Every single one of our school buildings has higher ethnic diversity than the rest of the state. The other thing that I'll mention here too, as we work to adhere to attendance zones, we're seeing that Sumner, who was at 90% previously, that is coming back in alignment with our other schools. So we're getting some nice balance with our elementary site locations in terms of ethnic breakdown. The other caveat to this is too, you'll see that School 105, this pre-kindergarten program, it's not that they didn't exist, but they were just included in the elementary locations the last few years, if you're aware. This year, that School 105 will be back on the map now that they're back in their own individualized locations, so that'll be coming back together. What do our student population make up when we look at the ethnic backgrounds of each of our students? So when we talk about a certified number last year, it was 58.6, it's 61.5 today. 41.4% of those students are white. Our largest population is at 30%, or just over 30% is Hispanic. And our fastest growing population is our Asian population, 11.9%. Our Black African population is staying steady and actually slightly declining in terms of overall percentage, just because of the gains in a couple of the other ethnic groups. That's our 8.7 there, and then a couple other smaller groups identified in those areas. You guys know your student body. When we compare that to our statewide student body, so this is all of the students in the entire state of Minnesota, only 38.6% of the students statewide are students of color. You can see that Hispanics only make up just over about 11% of the student body statewide. Black African populations make up 11.8, and Asians only make up 7.1, with some other smaller percentages represented there also. And even when we look at this as a community, taking census data of Austin as a city, as a community, citywide, 36.9% is what our community percentage of non-white community members is sitting at currently. So that's over 21% differential between that and the 18 and under population that we're seeing in our schools. And even community-wise, it's only about half of what we see in our 18 and under population, with our Hispanic population at 16.9, our Asian population at 7, and our Black African population at 5.4. So greater diversity will continue to see increases in our community as those 18 and younger populations continue to age up. Switching gears a little bit to socioeconomics, looking at our free and reduced lunch questions that Don was just asking. Overall, statewide, the median household income is $84,000 compared to Austin's at $61,600, so it's over a $22,000 difference in median income between Austin Public Schools and the rest of the state. And this is that free and reduced lunch trend. So you can see what's happened here going back 20 years. We were steadily increasing up until the mid-20-teens, at which time we kind of plateaued out. Then that pandemic happened in 2020, and then the federal government came out with free food during the pandemic, and so then we saw a decline, and you're aware as a board that during that time frame we saw over $1.3 million loss in our compensatory revenue because of those free and reduced lunch forms not being completed because of that free menu option from the federal programming. Then that went away, and you can see that our families responded and filled out the form to the tune of 67%, over 67%, and then the state of Minnesota came out last year, and now we have free lunch for the statewide program, which we still continue into this year. So right now, if I were to put the bar on here for 24-25, we're at 56.9% today, and those forms are still coming in as we go forward. What does it take to qualify? These are the actual numbers from 24-25 for qualifications. So if I take my household as an example, family of 4, my kids were still attending Austin Public Schools. If our household income was at or below $57,721, we would have qualified for the free and reduced lunch programs. And when we use the words free and reduced lunch, I usually better at this, I've been using the word free and reduced tonight. We call it educational benefits because with the federal program and now with the state programs, it's not about free lunch because all the kids get it. It's about your educational benefits, reduced class fees, reduced sport and activity fees, and so there's other added benefits, and that's why we do emphasize with families and call it the educational benefits form. Every single one of our schools has greater socioeconomic diversity than the rest of the state, so you can see all of those schools represented there. And switching over to language diversity, 62.1% of our students speak a language other than English, certified as of last year. That compares to 82.1% statewide. 21% of our students speak Spanish as their primary language. That's only 6.8% statewide. And then we have 16.9% of our students with 44 other languages represented in there that are other than English and Spanish. In the state, that's only 11.1%. So you can see our language diversity greatly exceeds that with the rest of the state. Our language predominance that exists after English being number 1 and then Spanish number 2 is our Karen and Karenni populations, so those Asian populations. When we look at this 206 students that spoke Corinne as their primary language last year, that ranked us 6th out of 66 different districts that have Corinne students. That number is up to 235 today, so that number continues to grow. Our Corinne population, the 204 last year, there were 675 total Corinne students in the state of Minnesota last year, so over 30% of the Corinne student population in Minnesota attends Austin Public Schools. And we're ranked 1 out of 12 districts that have students from that Burma and Thailand region that speak Korean. Today that number is up to 239.
Corey?
Yes, ma'am.
So with that, are these students like evenly distributed throughout the grade levels?
Yeah,
Which
they are.
is-
Yep. Yep, their family units, and there isn't a significant concentration in any specific level. Yeah, they are pretty well distributed.
Thank you.
Yep. Our Aniwak population is actually, it was tied last year in their certified numbers with our Pompeian. Our Pompeian is now in front of our Aniwak, our African language there. The Pompeian number last year of 80, there was 91 total statewide last year. So 87.9% of all the Pompeian speaking students that went to schools in Minnesota last year attended Austin Public Schools. We were one of 6 districts that have those students attending from Micronesia. This year that number's up to 93 as of today. So we continue to see this. And I think some of these numbers in this arena just really speak to the welcoming community that Austin is. Once families feel established and connected, they're coming out, and their extended families and friends are coming in tow with them to Austin because of the welcoming nature that we have. Our Aniwak population at 80 from last year is actually down to 70 this year, but last year that was 18.2% of the Aniwak population in the state of Minnesota. So again, we have a pretty good showing of our Aniwak populations here. And our French students at 58, that's up to 75 today. We are ranked 7th out of 108 districts that have French-speaking students in them. So a lot of language diversity. Total today, we're at the same number we were last year, 46. At one point a week ago, we were up at 47. Our highest we've ever been is 52 different languages spoken in our district. Every one of our schools, except for our Austin Online Academy, has greater language diversity than the statewide student body. So you can see all of our schools again there, see that. And I love this table. When we look at all of the rankings of all the schools in the state of Minnesota, last year there was 541 total school districts and charters that reported in the state of Minnesota. So this will be a really long chart, and you won't be able to read it. I took the whole snapshot of the whole thing. But this is just the top part of it. You'll see that statewide there was 348 different languages on a table of over 417 language codes on it. But we have 348 different languages spoken statewide. Anoka-Hennepin, the biggest district in the state, had 172 languages spoken in it. You'll see us on the bottom of the table in red with our 46 languages spoken officially last year, put us at rank number 30. I highlighted a couple other school districts. Rochester Public Schools has 85 different languages spoken in Rochester Public Schools, but with their 17,000 students, we still have a higher percentage. So in terms of percentage-wise, we have greater language diversity than Rochester. Mankato Public Schools with their 63 with over 8,000 students, and same thing with St. Cloud with 54 different languages, again over 8,000 students in their district, larger than us. Every other school district that you look at on that list is essentially a metro district. So the only outstate ones are highlighted. We have some of the greatest language diversity. And back to the question earlier, when we look at what are those students in terms of needing EL services, almost 40% of our student body speaks a primary language other than English. Last year officially 23% required some English language services. So that leaves that other almost 20% of students that are dual language, dual asset students in the classroom. And that's our EL summary. So lastly, I was going to share some attendance impacts. One of the studies that we did from last year was the effects of attendance on performance. And I did bring these along, but we've been really having a concerted effort to make sure that families help to get their children to schools. And as a community, it's our goal to have every child in school for programming. We have seen as a district about a 2% decline after the pandemic in our overall percent attendance. In a normal year pre-pandemic, on average, we were in about that 94 to 95, below 94% in attendance. Post-pandemic, we've been running in that 92 to 93%. So we've seen a decline in our overall attendance, but we know that it's important to be there. So why is it important? A lot of dots on this screen, but I'll break it down for you. Every single dot on here is an individual high school student from semester 1 last year. It's their percent in attendance on the x-axis compared to their GPA on the vertical axis. Long story short here is if I were to look at the students that are here less than 70% of the time, their average GPA is a 0.87. Compared to students that are here greater than 90% of the time that have an average GPA of a 2.978. So pretty significant impact on GPA when students are in the classroom to help support their learning. Similar story for second semester. Data is it yields even a larger gap here. If they're in school less than 70% of the time, their average GPA is 0.827. Compared to if they're here over 90% of the time, it's over a 3.0, it's 3.037 on average. So significant impact on GPA with attendance. When we look at credits earned, similar story, lots of dots on here, all the credits earned last year with our high school student population. If they were in attendance 90% of the time or more, they earned on average 6.45 credits, definitely on track for graduation in the 4-year time frame. However, if they were here less than 80% of the time, they earned on average about 3 credits, which does not put them on track for graduation on time. So again, attendance impacts credit attainment. When we start to look at some achievement data, these are students that took the ACT last year as 11th graders and their percent in attendance. And what we learned here is that students that are in school less than 80% of the time, on average, earn 4 composite points lower scores on the ACT than those kids that are here over 90% of the time. So impacts on ACT and achievement. Looking at some of our younger students, 3rd graders, looking at our MCA data. Students that are here less than 80% of the time have 12-point lower scale scores on their MCA reading test in 3rd grade than the students that are here over 90% of the time. So when students are here and in attendance, we see higher reading proficiency levels. And then lastly, our 8th grade students, kind of in the middle levels, looking at their math data. If students are in school less than 80% of the time, on average they score 11 scale score points lower than our students that are in school 90% of the time or more. So, few key findings. And one would generally probably hypothesize that greater attendance would constitute better performance and academic performance. This evidence really supports that. And so regular attendance does help in achieving higher academic success across all the grade levels that we investigated last year. So with that, I'll conclude and ask if there's any questions on enrollment or our demographic student body picture or attendance impacts. Or that's enough information to hope you get out there.
I know you're the dad and technology guy, but that left side of those graphs that you showed, those dots, I mean, and I can't say definitively what we're doing, but somehow we've got to reach those students and families, and because that's very important.
Yes.
Your last 2 comments about attendance and success go hand in hand. We have success coaches at the high school and the middle school and place. I just wonder if we have any way that we can connect with.
Yeah. Well, and there's concerted efforts across all levels for communication with family and working to have those touch points and build those relationships. And when we look at district programs like BAR in the high school, it's been extended into the middle levels. And it's something I personally believe from day one since I started education, relationship is key. If you build a relationship with those families, those kids are going to want to be in your classroom, they're going to show up. And so, yeah, that's happening across the board. But again, it's one of those things that take time and continual efforts. It's not just a one day and done, it's ongoing all the time.
So with the attendance and the graphs that you had up there, is there an ethnicity? I'm getting the word, the announcement, whatever. Do we know what that is? Do we have numbers relating to our new immigrant kids? Maybe it's not a cultural thing, they're new to education.
No, with the attendance piece, it really kind of spans across all the different demographical. I mean, the one that does have a little bit higher representation is in the socioeconomic status.
Okay.
Because sometimes there's limitations in terms of transportation or other that.
It's harder to get here.
Creates more barriers. But in terms of ethnic groups and languages, they don't really yield out a significant difference. But socioeconomically, yeah, there is a little bit.
Anybody else? Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
Great. Got a reminder of our school board study session scheduled for Monday, October 28th at 4 p.m. in the district office conference room.
I just remind everybody that today was the deadline for the Rising Star Award, and I think everything got in, and Cece, good luck to you.
Thank you so much for all of your work.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Kathy. Second by Peggy. All those in favor? Aye. That motion passes. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you.